live at the headquarters.
Yes, sir.
The Gyra Nuzzy headquarters, flanked by some nice helmets that kind of Sab's passion.
Yes, we'll talk about that, definitely.
Been making a couple bucks off it and having fun with it. I know they look great here, and gave the giveaway last week.
Yes.
Had a nice turnout for the people entering the contest. We had
sure
over
did.
50 people enter the contest.
Yes.
Lucky winner was Mr. Robert Stiles.
And speaking of Robert Stiles, we had a really nice gesture from
Shout
Robert.
out,
So our buddy Brian Fahey is a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. His whole family is. He just had a beautiful baby boy a couple weeks ago, Brett. Coincidentally, I wonder where he got that name from. Which is also going to be a part of our little trivia question, but we'll get to that in a second. And Robert wanted to give the helmet to Brian and to put it in Brett's room, a little decor, go along with the Packer stuff and the Yankee stuff. So that was a really nice gesture from Robert.
Nice gesture,
Good job by you, buddy. So Brian's got the Devontae Adams helmet in the giveaway. We do definitely want to do one of those again.
Robert even had a funny suggestion. He said should put the helmet on his son.
It might fit. It might fit, actually, with the mini helmet. We might be able to do that. That'd be up to Brian. And actually, more importantly, it'd be up to Christy for that one. So... maybe we'll have to get a picture of that. That would be something pretty funny we could put up. But yeah, so good gesture by Robert. We definitely want to do more of those helmet giveaways.
Yeah, probably do one before the season.
I don't know if it'll be one of these. They might not be here. You never know. Might have some winners for that in the other posts. Real quick though about the helmets, but before we get into the draft recap and later on we want to talk about the NBA playoffs starting to heat up. The Wolfpack page that I've shared, I am now a moderator on there, which is awesome. Mike Wright, Mason Kenya, all the guys let me in there, which was awesome. And that's where we're giving away all the stuff. We do a lot of helmet stuff. There's a Julio Jones full size on there right now. He does jerseys, all for cheap, guys. So you can get a jersey for $5. You can get this big size Julio Jones for as low as $1 if you win it. So check him out. Check out the page. I shared it earlier. I know a couple of you have joined, so make sure you check that out. So we definitely want to...
We're going to talk draft, but what we want to do, we actually had a suggestion from one of our listeners, and I thought was a pretty good suggestion, so we're going to start doing this every show. He suggested we do one fun fact or stat.
Or trivia question.
Or trivia / facts, for each show. So we're each going to do one. We're going to start off the show with one. And we'll throw it out there, and if anyone knows the answer without Googling, write it in or text and see if you can guess it. Again, don't Google it. It takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the ones I think that will have you, Google might not even
recognize it. But the one I'm going to do right now, we talked about Brett Favre and Favre. And Brett Favre is what he was called during draft day. That was pretty funny, but when he got drafted by the Falcons. But speaking of the Falcons, his very first completion came with the Atlanta Falcons. The trivia question is, who was Brett Favre's first completion to? So who caught Brett Favre's first completion? That's the first trivia question. By the end of the show, we'll let you know what it is. If anybody's watching, I know people are coming in and out. Maybe if you want to try and guess that and throw it out there, that'd be cool. So I know you had one too.
Yeah, mine's going to be... Who is the oldest NFL Hall of Fame inductee? The oldest. And I'll give a little hint or a fun fact to kind of give you something to think about. 93 years old.
Wow.
When he was inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Guess he waited a couple of years for that to happen.
A little bit.
Wow. So we got the oldest Hall of Fame inductee, and then who was Brett Favre's first completion to? I'll give you a hint. It was not a Packer. It was a Falcon. So there you go. There's your clue. So the draft is come and gone. We talked weeks for the draft. We loved it. I know some of you really loved it. Some of you were like, oh my God, when is this over? And we get it. There's not a lot of draft gurus out there.
But there is.
But there is at the same time.
To back that up, 600,000 people?
Just 600,000.
Attended the draft in Nashville. It wasn't in New York, Chicago. In Nashville, 600,000 people attended the draft.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, we were watching and we saw the line of people and we were guessing like, oh, this has to be at least 100,000 people. But 600,000 total people attended it. I mean, they've really... One thing I'll give Goodell credit for, and I've bashed him for a lot of things, and I didn't like it when he initially did it, when he made the draft. It took it away from a weekend thing and turned it into a prime time.
Right.
But it looks like he really did a good thing, and now switching the sites, he's kind of made it fun and switched it up, and obviously... fans are responding,
Definitely in Nashville, and it gives different people from different states and different areas of the country a chance to attend it. When it's in New York all the time, people in California, there's no chance they're coming over. But next year being in Vegas, that's going to be interesting. That could go either way in Vegas, as we know. But I don't think it'll be
You
nearly.
think there'll be some bets on the draft?
I think there might be some bets thrown down that day, and that's an interesting trip that I might have to think about
it might
making.
be
I have to talk to the wife, but
Jaira Nuzzi,
yeah, maybe
road
we'll
trip.
go live on the draft. Hopefully by then that would be something we could think about doing. But yeah, it's going to be awesome in years to come. See where they decide to do it. If it's anywhere in Florida, I know me and you are going to be there 100%, or even closer.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. So the draft, like we said, coming
Came
on.
in, and we obviously would have loved to went on air and love to break down sooner. Obviously, with work restrictions,
Yeah.
we couldn't, but we've been in constant contact. Who we thought did well.
Absolutely.
We've been breaking it down since day one,
Yeah.
and even going into day 3, we were watching and breaking down those selections.
Yes.
You want to talk about some of the winners and losers? I know we both agree we like Washington.
Well, I think we both like Washington, what they did, going back to the first round, being able to get, obviously, Dwayne Haskins at 15 without even having to trade anything.
let the draft
Let it come right to them, and then same with Montez Sweat. Obviously, the heart problems were out there. Some say it's legit, some say it's not. They were able to get him, I think, at 25, was it, or 26? And unbelievable. I have it right in front of you. Maybe I should look at it. Yeah, so, I mean, that's going to be...
They got Dwayne Haskins, who I think is the best pure passing quarterback in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
You get him at 15 without having to trade up. Montez Sweat, definitely a top 10, if not top 5 talent. You get late in the first round, fills the need. And then even the receiver they got from Iowa State, McLaren, I think he's going to be a solid number 3, 4 receiver in the NFL. So just a great job for a franchise that's used to kind of getting bashed for overspending and doing things kind of...
Which they have. They have overspent.
And they have.
No question. Albert Hainsworth comes to mind.
But and they've been a little too aggressive in free agency. But they really did a great job drafting it, and they really had the last couple of years. I mean, you look at the Alabama DT a couple of years ago. They felt Jonathan Allen ended up falling to them, and it looks like he's going to be an anchor in the middle for them. And you get your quarterback, you get him at 15. I think it's a great fit.
Yes.
Jay Gruden has shown he can kind of develop quarterbacks in Washington.
100%.
From Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, a prime example.
Alex Smith kind of had a nice short run there. So I think that you got to give him pretty much an A. You get your quarterback.
Well, yeah.
You get a pass rusher.
And we were talking about the Redskins and that division. The whole NFC East, we think, had a very good draft. The Eagles trading up, getting Andre Dillard, getting Miles Sanders, the running back that should be there for a long time for them. The Giants, you say what you want about the Daniel Jones pick, but like we've always said, if that's the guy they think is going to be the quarterback for the next 10, 15 years, you take him at 6, you don't take a chance.
Yeah, it's a great pick. If he's the quarterback of their future, if they think he's that good and he's going to be their franchise quarterback, and get him at 6, it's a great pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's debate. Schefter, I don't know if you heard, came out today, I think it was, or yesterday on the show, said that he heard he would have been there at 30. The Giants could have traded back, and with their 3rd first-round pick got him. He says he's got on good source. Denver did not want to take him because that's the rumor that either Denver or Miami would have taken him. He says he knows for a fact Denver would have not taken him.
Yeah, and seeing how Denver, if they really did want to draft that quarterback at 10, and if I highly doubt there was no links to Denver and Daniel Jones before the draft. Not one.
No.
Not one. It was Drew Lock. It was maybe Dwayne Haskins.
They could have kept that way too.
Could have kept it. Could have maybe drafted at 10. But the fact that they traded back even right after that, I think it was T.J. Hawkinson, I think it was Devin White, and Ed Oliver, the 3 guys they were targeting. So talk about the Broncos and my Broncos, the trade up for Drew Lock. And they Risner, the lineman,
who I think was
who's going to play center for them.
I know you are a little iffy about that pick, but probably the more you read and find out, I think the more you like the pick, and you will, trust me, 5 years from now you'll like him. That guy can play anywhere on the offensive line, and I mean anywhere.
Yeah.
He can play center, guard, or tackle.
And I don't know if it was because maybe I was at work while it was happening, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Why are we taking another lineman? But I of course wanted Greedy Williams, but also we lost Matt Paradis in free agency, who was the anchor of that offensive line for years at the center position. We don't have a center. We didn't have a right guard. So the more I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy can play both. Looks like he's going to start at center to start the season, possibly right guard if they pick up another center. But yeah, I like the pick more and more and more as I look at it. Obviously, just being a homer, of course, I have to like every pick.
But I don't analyze things.
Right, of course. But a pick that I'm still on the fence about is the trade up for Drew Lock, picking him 42nd right after they took Risner. Getting up there. That was John Elway's guy. It was no secret he was John Elway's favorite quarterback, I believe, since day one of this draft, since the quarterback's declared. He's a John Elway type guy. Fits the scheme and the offense that they want to run.
Got the arm, he likes.
He's got the arm, and it all obviously with Joe Flacco being there. That thinking he's in his prime thing obviously was a crock of you know what. If you think your quarterback's in his prime, you're not drafting a quarterback in the second round. You're not trading up for one. But Joe Flacco now has the pressure on him, like he did in Baltimore. It seems if you don't perform, you're done. That's it. You got a guy waiting in the wings, a young cat waiting behind you, and it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping the best case scenario is Drew Lock never sees the field this year. That's best case scenario because that means Joe Flacco's playing well. It means the team's playing well around him, and he can learn from him. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm not a big Drew Lock fan either, but taking him where they took him in the middle of the second round, I really can't fault that.
Right.
It's worth a shot. And I think if they do handle it right and you can sit for maybe 2-3 years, then you have a chance of him developing. Because another Missouri quarterback, Blaine Gabbert, got rushed into the starting job at Jacksonville, looked terrible, never recovered from it. Yeah. So I think if he can sit and watch and learn behind Flacco for at least a year, maybe 2. Yes. I think again not as big as fan, but where they took him, definitely not a reach because I saw him projected to go as high as 10.
Absolutely.
Denver,
well,
so
yeah.
Even with your third pick.
And if he's the guy that the Broncos thought that he would be throughout years to come, like we said with Daniel Jones, I know they got Joe Flacco. They might have taken him at 10, but they obviously had information that they knew they could get him later on in the draft, so they waited on, and it worked out well for him. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, being a Bronco fan, I'm rooting for Drew Lock to be that guy. I was very critical of him during this draft info and stuff we've been doing, so I hope I'm wrong. I hope I eat crow about it. Obviously, I'd love to see my team succeed. So we have a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans that watch us. I know the entire Bueno family. They probably make up about 35% of our viewerships
and
Outback Dining and
but we appreciate.
But we love them absolutely. And so the Cowboys, we think, despite not having a first round pick, which I guess you could say is Amari Cooper, which obviously that's pretty nice. They had an amazing draft.
I thought so. I thought they got a steal in the 5th round. Michael Jackson Jr., cornerback out of Miami. One of the best corners in the ACC the last 2 years. He's got the size, 6'1.5", 200 pounds, long arms. He's been a playmaker for the Hurricanes. Why he fell, they said there was questions about his long speed, but 5th round, I think they got a starting corner. Chris Richard, who's a fantastic DBs coach in Dallas. He's going to coach him up in the Cowboys. I think that's one of the biggest deals in the draft.
No doubt. And I think when we talked about the cornerback position in this draft, we thought some people thought maybe it was a little thin. Maybe a little overrated, not as many. I think when it's all said and done, when you talk about from DeAndre Baker all the way to Michael Jackson, Greedy Williams, Rock Ya-Sin, all these guys, Byron Murphy, Lonnie Johnson, who I absolutely love, I think we're going to look back and say, wow, what a cornerback class this was, because I really think that all these guys are going to have amazing impacts on their teams, not only early, but I think throughout their careers and long term as well.
Yeah,
I really think so.
And two, I'm trying to pull it up back here, but I got one team that I really thought that had a great draft. Speaking of not having first round picks, they traded out of the first round. The Indianapolis Colts and the GM there, Dorsey, is doing a fantastic job. He kind of built the Chiefs roster, and he's done a tremendous job with the Colts the last couple of years. Last year's draft, they got Quinn Nelson, who's an all-world guard.
Great.
Ben Smith, who was a guard at Auburn, moved to right tackle, started all 16 games, terrific. And then
Darius Leonard, of course.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. They had an A+ draft last year, and then this year they trade out of the first round. They get Rock Ya-Sin, who's become one of my favorite cornerbacks in the draft, feisty, tough corner, who I think is going to be a starting NFL cornerback. They get him at 34. Then the other second-round pick, they got another guy that I really fell in love with watching tape, is Ben Bonugu, linebacker from TCU, kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He can play inside, outside, athletic linebacker. He can play in coverage. He plays the run. Okay, they get him in the second round. Then the other second-round pick, they get Paris Campbell, really good value at 59. Again, good size, 6'1", 205. I think he had 18, 19 touchdowns the last 2 years at Ohio State. He was Drew Haskins' go-to guy.
Go-to guy for sure.
I think he ends up being their number 3 guy right away and has a chance to start. And then they got another linebacker in the third round that I've heard great things about too from Stanford, Bobby Okereke, considered one of the best character guys in the draft. Really smart, kind of ran the Stanford defense. Again, kind of a linebacker that can do it all. And then the fourth round, they get Curry Willis, safety from Michigan State. He was a captain there. Thumper, real physical safety. Felt because he doesn't really play the pass well, but physical safety. I think they got 4 or 5 starters in this draft, and just solid guys, like pieces that you can kind of plug in and build around, Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, and those guys.
All those guys. And I think what the Colts, we were very critical of them come free agent time, and how there was all these big names out there, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, guys that they could use. They could use an every down back. They could use a receiver with T.Y. Hilton getting a little up there in age and always injury prone. But what the Colts do year after year is what they don't do in free agency, they make up for it in the draft.
And obviously that's what Dorsey's going to be doing there, is building through the draft. And so far he's shown he can do it. I mean, and they pick up Funchess, so I think...
Funchess, 1-year deal. Just kind of see what happens. If he has a big year, maybe they give him a long-term
contract. And they got Justin Houston, pass rusher.
Yep.
So I think the Colts, be on the lookout what they're. I think he's building something special.
Absolutely, I think they're definitely primed for a good run this year. They had a good run last year, even with a team that was kind of that we didn't think it was Andrew Luck and a bunch of, for lack of a better term, no-name guys other than T.Y. Hilton. I mean, Eric Ebron, the tight end, had like 95 touchdowns last year, but he's been terrible up until then.
And that was a free agency steal too. But what he did, Dorsey, that offensive line was regarded the worst year in, year out, the worst line in football.
Luck was sacked more than anybody.
In 1 year, Quentin Nelson and Smith on the offensive line. And I also want to talk about, too, I just want to real quick just rave about Nick Bosa, the 49ers, getting him too. I mean, that was definitely... up until the draft day, I was still nervous, thinking, Arizona might take him one, or does Oakland trade up. So I just think he's going to be a great fit in San Francisco, and I'm excited with Dee Ford and DeForest Buckner, those three rushing the passer. I'm excited. And then their second-round pick, Deebo Samuels, who I think could be another Anquan Bolden. And a guy that more I read about and study too, I'm excited about, is a kid named Jalen Hurd, who kept Alvin Kamara on the bench as a running back at Tennessee, rushed for 1,300 yards as a freshman, MVP of the Outback Bowl. And then transfers to Baylor this past year, plays receiver 1 year and leads Baylor in catches, 59 receiving yards, 6'4", 225. And they're going to play him in that Delaney Walker type.
He can play anywhere. You can throw him in the backfield. You can put him at tight end. You can put him out wide. I remember as a Gator fan, Tennessee, when they had that big year a couple years ago, and Jalen Hurd was a big reason because he was so versatile. He could do everything, and he led them in yards. I think that year with he was a great player, and the fact that he transferred, I was like, wow, that's interesting.
He wanted to play receiver.
Wanted to play receiver. He but being so successful at running back, you would be like, well, what are you doing?
And he kept Kamara on there because Kamara didn't really have great college numbers coming out. That's why he fell. I think it was early third round. And it's because Jalen Hurd kept them kind of relegated to backup duty. So.
I think, and then you look at the Niners as a whole with all the weapons they have now on offense. You talk about Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, now Jalen Hurd thrown in the mix. You got Dante Pettis, George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league, if not arguably the best. And then, of course...
like I was telling a friend, Marquise Goodwin went kind of from our best or second best weapon to... He's like our sixth or seventh best weapon.
Unbelievable. Now, so. But like we always, like last year, it all depends on Jimmy G staying healthy. If Jimmy G stays healthy, the 49ers will be a force to reckon with. You agree, I agree. I have no stock in the Niners like you do, and I really think they're primed for a run. That division is going to be interesting. Let's stay in that division. You talk about Deebo Samuel and the Niners taking him at, I think, the 36th pick. And a lot of receivers taken before this guy I'm about to talk about. He had... Obviously, the combine buzz was through the roof. His pictures with his shirt off. I mean, he's built like a brick, you know what. And obviously his name is DK Metcalf. AJ Brown, his teammate, went before him. A lot of receivers that you might not even know that aren't household names went before him. Now, obviously, the talk about him was he can't run a route. He's in Ole Miss. You said it. Him and AJ Brown came from a very basic offense in Ole Miss. They run about 5 pass plays. That's an interesting thing, and that's something he's going to have to learn in Seattle. But my thing is you get him. He's projected a first-round pick before the combine, and then combine happens. Boom, number 9 pick. Okay, wow.
I even saw him as high as 4.
Well, high as 4, just because he's that boom player and hot player.
Al Davis probably would have taken him.
Al Davis would have had him on his roster at 4, no question. Probably would have been a better pick than Farrell, but maybe we'll see. So my thing with DK Metcalf, and I'm very high on him, only because maybe I'm eating up the hype too much. Maybe that's possible what's happening, but you knew when you had film on him from the start. So when the college season ends, he declares for the draft. Boom, gurus like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, all these guys, Daniel Jeremiah, they're watching the film on these guys. Scouts are watching film, coaches, GMs, everybody, and they're all in agreement that he's a top 10 pick and a first-round pick. Then all of a sudden he has this great combine. It's like, okay, he's even higher. And then all of a sudden now he can't run a route. Yes, I know he can't run routes as well even as his teammate A.J. Brown or other receivers. But my thing is how do you all of a sudden make him go from top 10 and you watch more film on him or more consistent film and it's like, he's not even in the first round. To me, I think it was a little bit of overanalyzing, and I think that DK Metcalf, to me, is going to be one of the best receivers out of this draft. Quote me, I will eat crow if it's not true, but I really think with Russell Wilson and the way he can, expand plays, throw it up to him, he's gonna have big plays.
Great situation with the right quarterback, and his cutting ability was kind of questioned too. Right. I think what happens oftentimes when a guy starts to drop in the draft, then like teams panic and they're like, oh my God, why if they passed on him, we got to pass on him too.
Exactly.
So I definitely think he should have been taken before. I think he was the last pick of the second round.
Yep.
But I mean, you do got to run routes in the NFL. I mean, you look at John Ross, Kansas City took him real. I'm sorry, not Kansas, Cincinnati took him real high in the draft. He had that blazing 40 speed, but the knock on him, he couldn't run routes. Now, granted, John Ross is a lot slimmer. He's
a lot smaller.
He's pushed over, gets pushed around the NFL. DK Metcalf won't. I think Metcalf has a chance to kind of be like a Teddy Ginn type player.
Yeah, big play receiver.
Big play receiver. Maybe like a Cordell Patterson, who's had a pretty solid career. He hasn't lived up to his first round
Wonder if they'll throw him at running back like they do in New England. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator there. He's pretty creative. I definitely think they'll find ways to get him touches. And Seattle definitely, they lack playmakers, and with Doug Baldwin possibly retiring, Metcalf, I think, is going to get his chance.
Definitely going to get his chance.
He went a good situation for him.
Yeah, for sure. And I know
he can't succeed there. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you as a Niner fan, it hurts to say anything good about the Seahawks.
Yes.
And that's like me with the Raiders. So you're obviously rooting against them, which rightfully so. Not against him personally, but against him being a Seahawk. So
they had an unconventional draft. Some of their picks.
As always.
Yeah, the last few years.
Typical draft for them.
And let's just talk about one more team real quick. And I know you want to talk NBA.
Yeah, sure.
The Oakland Raiders. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Obviously, at 4, I think they reached. I think they would even admit maybe they probably took them higher than they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
See some Farrell. I think it was tougher to trade back. It's always easy to say, well, they could trade down. Clearly, there weren't teams jumping up to really trade up in the first round. When you look at Pittsburgh, traded from 20 to 10, and all they gave up was a late second and a third next year. Usually, you're giving up more.
I was really hoping the Broncos picked up their first last year.
Usually, that's what you're giving up to move that far. But the more I listened to the Gruden and Mayock talk, why they really loved Farrell was his character.
Mm-hmm.
On top of being he's a 3-down, he's a traditional defensive end. He can play the run. He's a pass rusher. He's a 3-down type guy. They run a 4-3, so that's what they wanted. But they love his character, and that's what all the Raiders picks. High character guys. Jacobs, extremely high character. Abrams, Mississippi State, high character.
Hated that he slipped to them.
That was a good pick. I mean, Jacobs, I don't know because I just haven't really. I know you actually probably even like Jacobs more than I do. So just don't, he never really carried the load at Alabama. I question, can he be a 20-25 carry guy?
And now
he's got to be.
He's got to be with Isaiah Crowell tearing his ACL.
Achilles,
excuse me.
And before even mini camps start. Yikes.
Big loss for them. And going back to the Farrell pick, it's kind of the same thing with Daniel Jones to the Giants. This is the guy that Mike Mayock and John Gruden were targeting. They let their scouts go because of it. The scouts disagreed with him. You talk about Farrell being a high character guy. I don't see any character issues in Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was highly regarded than them. But I think you look at production in maybe a bigger conference, or excuse me, bigger game, not a bigger conference, bigger games, maybe that has something to do with it.
I don't know. Josh Allen kind of question, can he hold up against the run?
Right.
Farrell's
definitely going to help in the run game more.
Bigger and he's more physical against the run. But I agree with you. I think you got Josh Allen there. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll analyze that 3 years from now.
Exactly. And you look at the Raiders from top to bottom of their draft. I remember our buddy Sleepy, who's a Raider fan, and my cousin Billy posted their draft, and I was looking at it, and they made up for it. If Farrell isn't as good as Josh Allen, so to speak, I don't think Farrell's going to be a complete bust by any means. I don't think you do either. But you look at their draft as a whole, And I was thinking, man, if that first name said Josh Allen, we might be talking about the Raiders having the best draft of anybody because of all the picks they had and the 3 firsts. I think they nailed all 3 firsts. I really think Josh Jacobs is going to be, I don't think he's going to be the every down back, but how many every down backs are there anymore? You know what I mean? Other than like maybe Christian McCaffrey. So you need that other guy. And Isaiah Crowell would have been the guy. So they got to figure that out. Maybe Marshawn Lynch will come back. I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know how many Skittles they're going to offer him. But I think that Josh Jacobs will be a decent back, and I hope I'm wrong on that. Of course, being
I think he will be a decent back or a solid back. I just don't. You take a guy at 24. I would have loved him at 37 with their second round pick, 24. But
put it to you this way: you look at the Eagles taking Miles Sanders. I think he has a better shot of being a focal point and the lead back in Philly's offense than Josh Jacobs does in Oakland. I really do. I think that. I think that Sanders is a home run. Not a lot of people think, oh, Sanders, he had a decent year in Penn State last year. Everyone's Saquon Barkley, and you try and get the next Saquon or whatever. I don't think he's going to be Saquon. Saquon's probably the best back in the league right now, arguably. I know the Cowboy fans and Zeke lovers are
back 10 for the draft.
So it's going to be interesting. We can't wait for the mini camps and OTAs and all that stuff to start. But we got a while for that.
And then the next show we'll kind of touch on which rookies we think will do well in fantasy football.
Absolutely.
We'll do our top 10 fantasy football rookies next show.
Way too early fantasy football rankings, but we are focally a football show, as you can see from the logo. We are the football guru. But let's shift gears a little bit here. The NBA playoffs is heating up. The first round is over. We're kind of deep in the second round. We're in the game 3s now. Golden State, obviously, head and shoulders above everyone. I don't care what anyone says. They're playing the Rockets right now, and it looks like the Rockets being down 0-2 in the series, I really thought they would steal one in Golden State. The way they've been playing leading up to this, they absolutely dominated the Jazz in round 1. But there's just no answer for Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, as much as we don't like him personally, and not many people do like him personally just because I still think he's a cop-out going there, but we've talked about that long enough. He's definitely the best player in the league right now.
That's why I said to you the other day, and I said that I wanted to talk about on the show, is Kevin Durant the best player in the NBA?
Currently.
A couple days ago I asked you, and I said that I think it'd be a good topic for the show. I think he is.
Yeah.
When you factor in everything, fourth quarter, clutch, scoring, all around, I think Kevin Durant is the best player.
And I mean, if you break it down game by game, skill level, and the total things, obviously LeBron James is probably the top, but LeBron James is home right now. LeBron James isn't playing. LeBron James decided to go to LA to pursue Hollywood and his career, and this year was a quote-unquote rebuilding year, or a feeler year, they say, about how he's going to. So he's not playing right now. If LeBron James is playing, we might not have this conversation, but Kevin Durant right now is playing better than anybody.
And you talk about the dream team in Miami. I mean, if those 3 guys stayed together, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You start to wonder, Russell Westbrook, did they keep the wrong guy?
I think they did keep the wrong guy. I think everybody would agree with that. Russell Westbrook, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. They call him stat pad or whatever it is, but if you're getting triple doubles every night, the effort's there. I don't care what anyone says, but
great stat guy.
He's
but,
a stat guy, but
like Warren Moon.
I don't think
almost.
right. Who'd you say? Warren Moon. So the West, it runs through Golden State. The other West matchup is between Denver and Portland. Portland was able to steal last night, game 2. In Denver, which was a must-win for them. That's going to be an interesting series. I personally don't think either of those teams match up with Golden State as well as Houston does. So I think we're looking at Golden State kind of brisking their way to the finals per usual. But the East now is an interesting thing because I think you have, I'm going to say this right now, I think you have all 4 teams in the East right now, other than maybe Milwaukee, who's the number 1 seed, which you would think, well, Milwaukee's got the best chance of the number 1 seed. I think that any team in the East matches up better than any team in the West with Golden State. In Boston, Kyrie Irving, it's playoff Kyrie. He's showing his stuff now. They're tied up. They took a game in Milwaukee. They're heading back to Boston. I believe game 3's tonight. They're the favorites just from a experience standpoint. Taking LeBron and the Cavs last year to 7 games. I think Boston's really going to be, unfortunately, another Boston team we got to deal with, but they're definitely the favorites. And then you got Philly and Toronto, not to keep jumping around here, but Kawhi Leonard playing out of his mind in Toronto, but wasn't enough last night. And the Sixers dominated, and Joel Embiid is probably the second best player in this playoffs right now.
Well, if you look at that series, I mean, 5 of the 7 best players in that series are on the Sixers. The Sixers have more talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard a crazy stat on the way here on Colin Cowherd. The Raptors are plus 111 with Kawhi Leonard on the floor, minus 58 with him off the floor. That's 160 plus point difference.
That's crazy.
So I mean, it's Kawhi Leonard or bust. I mean, you know, if he had more help, I'd like Toronto's chances, and I really thought they probably have the best chance of maybe coming out of the East, but I don't know. If Philly's on, they have the talent.
And they were
about Embiid, Simmons, Redick is shooting crazy right now. Your boy Jimmy Butler, you know, when he's on.
And Embiid is another guy that if he stays healthy, he's probably the best big in the game. He can shoot the three. He can play defense. He blocks shots. He's got a great post play. He's a good rebounder. He's the guy. The Sixers. The process is here. They have trusted the process. The process is complete with him, with Ben Simmons, with Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, all these guys. And a lot of analysts said that if Markelle Fultz doesn't work out, then this team's not going to work out. Obviously, that's not anything that we can talk about. And Markelle Fultz a complete bust.
Yeah.
Imagine they take Jason Tatum with that pick instead of Markelle Fultz. Or even Lonzo Ball. I mean, Lonzo Ball's had a better career. I don't think he's going to be anything either. But the Sixers definitely interesting, and they're playing their best ball of the
playoffs. Who do you think, because you're the basketball guy, who do you think out of the East gives the Warriors the toughest matchup?
The toughest, I think it's the Celtics, only, like I said, only because of the experience factor. Kyrie Irving had his way with them in Cleveland. Obviously, he had LeBron James for them to worry about. But, you know, Gordon Hayward's playing his best ball so far. He looks like the old Gordon Hayward. Yeah. Al Horford playing out of his mind. He's giving Giannis fits. I mean, Game 2 looked like a giveaway game for Boston. They looked pretty complacent since they took Game 1. Going back to Boston, already got the home court. And another guy that no one really talked about is, Markieff Morris. It might be Marcus Morris, because honestly, I don't know. It might be, I always get them mixed up. But Morris is... Brad Stevens, their coach, said of all of our players, he's the most consistent guy. And it's true. If you look at all his numbers, he's been, from Game 1 to Game 82 to the playoffs, he's been the most consistent guy for that Celtics team and was a huge pickup for them, very underrated pickup. Jason Tatum, to me, has got to pick it up a little bit. I'm very critical of that guy. I really think he's only in his second year, full year, but I think he's got to just, and then last year, everyone talked about last year he was great. He led them, but he didn't have Kyrie last year, obviously. So obviously Kyrie's taking a little of the production away from him. Jaylen Brown is a nice, complimentary guy and a role player, so to speak. I think it's the Celtics, and then obviously right behind them, I think it's the Sixers. But you look at just the experience factor, Horford and Kyrie being veterans, Markieff Morris being a veteran. I think those guys give the Warriors the biggest challenge. I don't think anyone's beaten them, unfortunately, but I think it is funny how in a matter of a year, with LeBron leaving the East and coming out West, you would think, okay, well, it's all about the West. But the East teams, to me, are better collectively than what's happening in the West, other than Golden State. So
I mean, you got 4 teams that can legitimately, represent.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like I said, the number 1 seeded Milwaukee Bucks to me is the least best team in that conference as far as a whole, in my opinion, just because. You look at experience. Experience is a big thing, guys. Like, Giannis is one of the best players in the league, but Chris Middleton was an all-star. And they're really missing Malcolm Brogdon, their backup point guard. He was able to close games for them this year, and so he's a big.
I think the experience. I think Milwaukee needs to go through it for a year or two. Get the experience and come back. Because obviously their guys don't have the experience. Some of the Celtics guys do. Or even, Kawhi. From his
Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP. So took down
our Heat player.
Oh, he's an unbelievable player, and he's nasty on the court. As mild-mannered as he is off the court, or even during plays, you never see him complain. You never see him say anything. But he's a nasty player, and he lets his play do the talking. And he's one of my favorite players. I know he's one of yours.
Oh yeah,
definitely. And he broke our hearts against the Heat, man.
The Clippers are gonna love him next year.
I was just gonna say, the city of LA is gonna love him. And it's not gonna be the Lakers.
Poor Canada. We try to root for Toronto. We'd love to see a Canadian team in the finals, but man, they just can't keep anything together.
Well, I think you talk about that. Not to interrupt you, but I wanted to touch on this a little earlier. Is Kyle Lowry? They kind of committed to Kyle Lowry. I want to say prematurely, only because you get into the playoffs and Kyle Lowry disappears. I mean, his production goes way down from the regular season. Talk about a plus minus. His plus minus, I think, is like a 35-point difference in the playoffs from the regular season. I mean, so that to me, and that's you're the point guard. You're the leader.
Yeah.
I know Kawhi Leonard's probably your best player and your leader, but when you're the point guard, you're the quarterback of that team. Everything runs through you. So you gotta. And I don't think Kyle Lowry's that player. I think he's more of a scoring guard and he just the production's just not there in the playoffs. It's not good enough for them.
And I would say Milwaukee, Eric Bledsoe, kind of similar to Kyle Lowry.
Yes, very, very. And Eric Bledsoe needs to step up a little more if they're going to win that series against Boston. But the East playoffs to me is way more exciting than the West. First time in a while that we can say that. So it's going to be interesting. I know my pick before the playoffs, or actually when the season started, I had Toronto, Golden State. Once LeBron left, went west, and Kawhi Leonard came east, I said Toronto, Golden State. But after last night and watching the Sixers dominate, if the Sixers play half as good as they did last night, Toronto doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance at all. Because Joel Embiid is a freak. No one can handle him. So the NBA season is heating up. We got the answers to the trivia question. I'll start with mine. I know we had a few people in and out. A little slow day today. I understand it's Friday during the day. And when we get closer to the NFL season in the summertime, we definitely want to try some primetime shows and more shows. So, because we'll have fantasy football heating up, the preseason.
No one wants to hear draft. Usually we have 50, 60 people
I know.
out of here.
No one's the draft's over, no one's here, but that's all right. We know a lot of people watch on YouTube, watch later, and we do it live just because, for you guys if you want to interact.
Back it up on Facebook and
for sure.
YouTube.
No question about it, and we appreciate you guys. But going into that trivia question, mine was Brett Favre's first completion of his career. I told you it was a Falcon, it wasn't a Packer, and this is one that I get people at the bar with all the time. The answer is Brett Favre. Brett Favre's first pass was batted down at the line of scrimmage, and Brett Favre caught it. So Brett Favre, for a little bit, was 1 for 1 with 3 yards passing and receiving. So there you go. So Brett Favre was the answer to that one. And then your 93-year-old Hall of Famer
is Mr. Ed Sable.
Ed Sable,
founder of NFL Films. Your dad knows Ed Sable. And Steve,
sure.
I remember we used to talk about that family. But yeah, Ed Sable, the founder of NFL Films, recently got into the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes, finally. So those
and your dad actually told me a funny story. He bought NFL Films. It was dirt cheap. He bought the copyrights for NFL games. If Mr. Nuzzy's watching, he knows, because I remember he told me way back when.
And it's funny because my dad doesn't know much about football. He doesn't know about stats and stuff like that. But he knew that. And he kind of surprised us with that a little bit.
It was. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah, thousands. That's worth multi millions right now. So like we said, draft's over. We'll touch on NFL here and there. We'll probably focus more on the NBA next show. Maybe do a little, in the future we want to do a giveaway, whether it be one of these helmets, maybe not these per se, but one like that. We're going to definitely want people, we might go for it.
We'll do just some different locations.
Yes,
we want to kind of make it a little bit more interactive. Maybe we'll do some for an NBA Finals show. Maybe we'll go to
Beef O'Brady's has been talked about. We'll talk to them a little more as we go, and I know everybody liked the outside. We couldn't see a damn thing out there, but it was definitely a good.
The most reaction.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice out there.
They were doing the pool for 4 months.
So good thing we got that in when we could, and it's going to be 1,000 degrees outside too. So we're going to have to rethink the outside a little bit, but we'll spice it up a little bit. I was thinking maybe for a giveaway next time, we're going to have people try and like a referral kind of thing, get people to like the page. You tell me, you'll get added into it. So it's just stuff like that. And if you guys have any sort of ideas or info,
the stat one we got from Christian
Clark,
he kind of gave us that idea, which we like. So we'll definitely love to incorporate your guys' ideas.
Yeah.
If you have ideas,
no doubt about it. And
shoot them to us.
Like we said, this
learning as we're going.
Yeah, this is your show as much as it is ours for right now. So let us know what you think. Keep watching the NBA playoffs. We'll be back next week sometime. We'll be letting you know.
Absolutely.
And thanks, guys, for watching. And make sure, if you haven't liked the page, Jared Nuzzy Podcast on Facebook, Jared Nuzzy Podcast on YouTube. So, and as we always end with the show.
Yesterday at 6 o'clock, Mick says
this on 6 o'clock.
Asking All Prime. 6 o'clock at
6
night.
o'clock. Peace.
I don't know.